Win it 116-99, and really it was the difference in the third quarter. Lakers got it as close as one in the third quarter, and then the Grizzlies closed the third on a 19-2 run. That was really the difference. And how about the backcourt for the Grizzlies? Ja Morant and Desmond Bane combining for 64 points, 20 rebounds, 12 assists. And the Lakers spoil a really, really good game from Anthony Davis. 31 points, 19 rebounds. He had a double-double at halftime. Unfortunately for LeBron, from a scoring standpoint, plays one of his worst playoff games, and he's played in 271 playoff games in his career. That's a record. But he goes 5 of 17, 1 of 9 from beyond the arc. Still gets a double-double after his 2020 game, but not the game he needed to have here as they try to close out the Grizzlies. They'll try again on Friday back home in L.A. Welcome in CBS Sports NBA insider Bill Ryder. And Bill, this game really was coming down to the third quarter. The Lakers make it a game, cut the deficit to 1, and then the Grizzlies go on a 19-2 run to close out the third. What did you see from Memphis in that third quarter?
The reminder that this is a really good basketball team, Akeem, and even though they're down 3-1, it doesn't change the 2 next to their seeding. They won a lot of games in the regular season. They're dangerous. They're capable of playing great D. And we know, we've seen in this series, even in losses for Memphis, how dynamic offensively Ja Morant is and the opportunity that creates for space for his guys, easy buckets at the rim, good looks from the three-point line. They are dangerous every single game they go out there, and they certainly proved it, not just in this game, but as you noted, in that third quarter where they took over. And, we'll see what happens. We got a couple to go if Memphis is going to make a series of it. But this is open. This series is not closed yet because Memphis's quality came out in this game.
How about LeBron? LeBron had one of his worst playoff games of his career in terms of shooting the basketball. 5 of 17, 1 of 9 from beyond the arc. What was Memphis doing, perhaps disrupting him, or does he just have an off shooting night?
So, Akeem, and I think the three-point stat you gave is really important. Let me give you 2 perspectives. And this is just the eye test. You're from Cleveland. I've covered LeBron. The reason I'm talking to you is because my time covering LeBron James. This ain't a shot at LeBron James. But he looked old to me in this game. If you didn't look at the box score, if you didn't even have the score, but if you just watched the game, this is one of the first times to me, Akeem, LeBron James looked his age and he looked old. That doesn't mean that'll be the case in the next game and series that follow if the Lakers make it, but that's a fact for me. He just didn't look like it was him. With all respect to the Memphis Grizzlies defense, I think LeBron just didn't play well, and he looked his age. And I'm glad you noted the three-point shooting because it's a bizarre game statistically. If you look at rebounding numbers, if you look at turnovers, if you look at free throw discrepancies, there's not a wide margin between what Memphis did and what the Lakers did. But it's a blowout in large part because the Lakers were poor from the three-point line. They made 26% of their threes. If they were just to be average in terms of what they did over the course of the regular season, they would have been right in this game. So the three-point shooting is really what was the problem for the Lakers. And if we boil that, we really drill down, it's really LeBron James, 1 of 9, as you noted, from the three-point line. That was the difference between the Lakers being in this game, at least on paper, and the blowout that in the end Memphis was able to put on L.A.
Yeah, 10 of 39 as a team, the Lakers shot from beyond the arc. Meantime, Ja Morant and Desmond Bane, what a show they put on. We saw Ja Morant at one point getting in on a rebound and boxing out guys, throwing down dunks here. I mean, what did you think of this backcourt for Memphis to keep them alive and stave off elimination?
I think the average casual fan knows, Akeem, what we've known, for a long time. Ja Morant's an exceptional basketball player, and he is mesmerizing how he does it. He plays above the rim. He's remarkably athletic. He can score from deep. He can get to the rim. He creates opportunities for his guys. But maybe folks who haven't watched the Grizzlies play as much as other teams don't know Desmond Bane is also an outstanding basketball player. In the modern NBA, you can't just have a Batman. You've got to have a Robin or a couple Robins, and Desmond Bane is that guy. I don't even know what he finished with. I know you have it in front of you, Akeem. I think 33 points.
Yep.
He is capable, Bane, of going out there and helping to carry his team. This is a deep Memphis squad. It really is. And some of that depth we talk about in terms of defense or however you want to categorize Dylan Brooks in terms of chips on shoulders, but they can put the ball in the bucket too, and Desmond Bane is a key reminder. As great as Ja Morant is, and he's the most important player for this team, they are really, really good beyond him as well. That's a dangerous basketball team with some names that maybe the average fan isn't paying as much attention to as in some bigger markets.
Yeah, he scored 14 of his 33 points in the first quarter, and I'm curious if you think there's something to this or this is just like a fun trend here, but whoever wins the first quarter has gone on to win the game in this series, as Memphis was up by 14 at the end of one here. Is that just one of those fluky trends, or is there something to that in terms of setting the tone?
A little bit of both. I mean, if you talk to folks around the NBA, they don't tend to buy into that, but having covered it, I think when you're playing teams that are excellent defensively and have a player who can take over games, if you get to a lead, right, if you jump out a little bit, it changes the dynamics a little bit. The Lakers have been really good defensively since the trade deadline, not necessarily the entirety of the year, but they're a good defensive team. The Grizzlies are the second best defensive team, at least again on paper, over the course of the regular season. Anthony Davis, I think, when he has these games, is the guy that can take over for the Lakers, and that's certainly true, we know, for Ja Morant. So I think there's a correlation. You get up with the defenses these teams have, and the ability, if you're in a rhythm, and have and some confidence for your star player, either Morant or AD, depending on the team, to get you some buckets. And I do think it becomes a little more of an uphill battle for the opposing team than it might be against another squad.
All right, well, the Lakers will have another shot to try to close out this series Friday back home in Los Angeles. Bill Ryder breaking it down for us here on CBS Sports HQ. Bill, thanks. And how about Ja Morant? Most 30-point playoff games in Grizzlies history. He's got 8. Desmond Bane has 3 of them. Again, they combined for 64 points in this game, 20 rebounds, 12 assists as they stave off elimination at home, extending the series to a Game 6 on Friday.
Breaking news into HQ, and the New York Knicks are moving on in the NBA's second season. First time in a decade they win a playoff series. This a 5, taking out a 4 in 5 games. Knicks 106-95 in Game 5. Their second win in Cleveland. The Knicks having won the last 3 games of the season to dispatch Donovan Mitchell and the Cavaliers. Jalen Brunson leads the way with 23 points on a night Julius Randle tweaks that bum ankle. Let's get some insight from HQ NBA insider Bill Ryder. And Bill, your biggest takeaways from this Knicks-Cavaliers series is what?
The Knicks are a lot better, Jim, than I and a lot of people around the league gave them credit for, and the Cavaliers are not nearly as far along as we thought they were. And let's just go with the New York Knicks, who win this series in dominating fashion. We knew they were great offensively. They were extraordinary in this series defensively, an area they were inconsistent in over the course of the regular season. And that road to the conference finals certainly looks easier than it did a few weeks ago, as that Miami Bucks series looks like it'll go Miami. You got injuries to Giannis Antetokounmpo that's made that the case. So credit Tom Thibodeau, credit Jalen Brunson, one of the most disrespected, including by me, groups and teams in the NBA, proving doubters wrong in a pretty impressive way.
Very well said. Before we get to that Eastern Conference, let's focus on Jalen Brunson. His biggest impact on this team was what?
You know, it turns out, and I mean, you can see the scoring and you can see the offense, and it's clear that he's not just the best player on that team. He's the best player on the floor in this series, and Brunson is good enough to be the best player, at least have a chance at that, Jim, over the course of every series they're in, and that is what you need to win playoff games. But the thing that you've heard talking to people around the NBA, people in the organization, that started to come out now as a narrative in some of the interviews that teammates have done over the course of the Knicks' success over the last few weeks in terms of this playoff run, is the guy's leadership. He is quieter maybe than your average locker room leader, but there is a calm demeanor and a surety to Jalen Brunson that has become a part of the moxie, the approach, the steel that is in this Knicks team. His teammates have talked about it. People in the organization will talk to you about it. And just watching the games, you can see Jalen Brunson is so ready for these moments, this pressure, the postseason, and all that comes with that, especially as a Knick and their lack of success really in this century. And that, I think, is rubbed off on that basketball team.
Yeah, kind of puts his head down. He's a bulldog, goes to work, no-nonsense player, kind of a throwback, if you will. How about giving some credit, though, Bill, and you touched on him at the outset, to someone that doesn't get enough credit for what they've done in New York, and I'm talking about the coach, Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah, I think that's the next point. And look, there's a few stats we could point to, but one, Jim, that jumps off the page to me as I look at it here. 17 offensive rebounds in this game for the New York Knicks versus 3 for the Cleveland Cavaliers. That is a stat that is about effort and heart and giving a you-know-what. And that's exactly what Tom Thibodeau teams do, but they play defense. And certainly the ability for this team to be so much better defensively in this